Alright, so it's time to cover what I did on Monday in the whole Minecraft Monday stream. And it's mostly about power and autocrafting. My plan was for the stream was to get into railcraft, as you might remember from the last video. But the issue was, I'd never actually checked if railcraft was in this mod pack. I just assumed it was for some weird reason. And we have actually now added it. We added it today after realizing it wasn't in the pack. So Monday I couldn't actually, get into this mod at all. And this is something I will now look into now that it's on the server. But because it wasn't on the server, I decided to go into like power upgrades. Right, I went into the whole resonant stuff. So as you can see here, I've upgraded this energy cell. It's now storing 50 million RF and can transfer 25,000 per tick. But that's not too interesting. Most of the changes can be seen here. You may notice some new blocks over here. And yeah, quite a very different, I don't know, hidden basement, I guess I can call this. So yeah, let me break all of this down and explain to you guys what is going on. So to start with, if I come up here, we have this fat cable running through the base now. This is a cryo-stabilized flux duct. And this cable is very interesting because it has infinite transfer capacity. Let me go grab a cable. I believe I have one I haven't put down. Just to show you guys. Let's have a look. Ooh, if I could spell. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if we look at this cable, we can see infinite RF per tick. Now, this actually kind of poses an issue. With our base layout, because this whole cable is coming out with this energy cell here, and this energy cell can only transfer 25,000 RF per tick, but this cable is unlimited. So we still have the bottleneck of 25,000, and I've been thinking of ways to get around that. Maybe better energy cells from different mods. This energy cell is top tier for thermal expansion, so we might need to get into other mods, or what we can do is have multiple energy cells output onto this cable, and that would work absolutely fine. And I think I'm going to go with that latter approach. Maybe get some more of these, put it onto this cable somewhere. Maybe down here, reorganize this basement a little bit. It's always been a bit messy in this back corner here. So maybe I'll reorganize this and get more energy cells storing, and then also outputting onto the central cable, so we can really take advantage of that infinite transfer capacity. So we've actually skipped a step with our cable. Between Signalum and Cryo-Stabilised, there's actually resonant cables, which go in line with the resonant, upgrade of the energy cell. The issue is this cable is quite awkward to run. I have to run it like down the back there, down the wall, into the basement, and I basically didn't want to do that twice. And I felt we was kind of close to Cryo-Stabilised anyway. So I figured we would just skip a step and go straight to Cryo-Stabilised. The issue is these cables are quite expensive. It uses a lot of quartz. It uses fused quartz to make the actual cable itself, and then you have to fill it with cryophium, which together they're really not cheap. I believe it used like 4 fused quartz per individual pipe, right? And I've used, I believe, about 40 of these, and I've only gone basically a very basic route, which is from here down to the basement, right? And yeah, that used about 40, so it's very expensive. And that's why I spent most of my time pretty much on Monday trying to gather those resources and start laying this cable. And then here we have a few changes to the applied energistics network, right? So here we have a security terminal. Here we have a charger. Now this is something I was meant to have pretty early on. This is a very basic item in applied energistics. I just never made it. Instead of using one of these, I used an energetic infuser, I believe is how you say it. Sorry, my mouth is struggling today to pronounce words. I used one of these energetic infusers. Sorry, that's all I said to say. I used one of them instead of what you normally use the charger for. So I've only actually recently made that. And you may notice there's this weird looking, I don't know, access point, I guess, on top of the security terminal. You can put this anywhere, by the way. I just tend to put it here. I don't know why. I kind of like it like this. And this is basically, both of these things are for this thing, the wireless terminal. Now this thing is really nice. It basically allows me to access my network without using a direct terminal, right? Like I could be down here in the basement or second basement, and you know my terminal's all the way up here, and to save me from running all the way up, I could just use this thing instead. Now this does use power, right? And like the further away you are, the more power it uses. And if I actually use it here and hover over, you can see it's draining power, but it's getting recharged somehow. Now, normally you'd put it in a charger and recharge it. However, do you remember this little thing we set up, the flux controller? Well, if we go into the wireless charging section, you can see I've got it set so it will charge my hotbar slots. I mean, also my armor and my baubles. Sadly, main inventory is disabled, and you can't like enable this, I believe. But when this thing is in my toolbar, which is the only time you can use it, by the way, it will recharge from the Flux network. So I never have to worry about running out of charge on this thing. Honestly, Flux networks are very nice. So the security terminal block is actually quite a nice addition to an applied energistics network. It firstly allows you to make a wireless terminal, right? You basically put this terminal in this slot here, and it will connect that that terminal to this network, right? Or the network the security terminal is connected to. But it also means people, or you can set who you want to be able to access your network and to what level, right? If I just have a look in here real quick, I'm a bit confused by this, but I'll go into it. So this is my biometric card, right? It's linked to me. And I've set it so I can deposit items, withdraw items, do crafting jobs, I can build and change the network, and I can modify the security, like as in this block. But normally you put this in here, and I'm very confused why it doesn't let me. Oh wait, hang on, I'm confused. Huh? Oh, interesting. But yeah, it doesn't let me put this in here. I guess I could leave it there, which is very interesting. Because I'm pretty sure you're meant to like make these biometric cards for people you want to have different levels of access to your system and then put them in here, but for some reason that's not currently working. So this means currently I'm the only one that can access this network. This was already kind of a thing due to other plugins on the server, such as players being unable to right click in other people's claims. That kind of stopped that anyway. But this is, I guess, just another layer of defense to stop people stealing my items, essentially. Okay, so now it's time to break down all of the new stuff going on down here. I've left this cable exposed just so you can kind of see where it's going. Basically, from the layer above where it's connected to the energy cells, it just runs down this back wall, comes down, and then runs down like the main line. So as you can see, there's connections coming off of this. And then it also runs over to this energy cell where it can then transfer, if it needs to, 25,000 RF per tick into this bad boy. And then that means my digital miner has got plenty of energy to work with. And then if we come into this back corner first, you can see we've got now 2 of these crafting CPUs. This is pretty much just our old one, right? I've moved it over to the right here, and we have a second one. And then this one has been kind of completely new / upgraded. It now has 3 crafting co-processing units. It's still only 1 deep, I guess. But it now has 2 16k crafting storages, so it's got about 32k crafting storage, which is more than we need right at the moment. But that will, I am sure, quickly be not be enough, and we're gonna have to expand that. This sadly brings on to another point. In a previous video, I was actually wrong. Surprise, surprise. I said that basically when it comes to auto crafting jobs, the network will choose the closest CPU to the ME controller, which is, I don't know where I got that from. I really don't. That kind of came out my ass, I think. Basically, when it comes to this, auto crafting, it will always default to the most powerful CPU, and it will try to use that like no matter what. So I think it's better, rather than having one very powerful CPU and then a bunch of others kind of meh, I think it's better to have multiple powerful CPUs, like equally powerful, because otherwise when you like set up your network, for example your export buses, if you put a crafting upgrade in here and it starts crafting things for you, it will always use the most powerful CPU, and if you have a lot of those going on, like you will never be able to access your most powerful crafting CPU. So I think, in my opinion, it's better to have multiple powerful CPUs rather than this kind of, one very good and then one mediocre. But that's just kind of my opinion on it. And then furthermore, I've never actually mentioned this. I said crafting co-processing units speed up crafting, but I never said how. Mainly because I didn't really know or understand it until today, right? So I looked it up, and basically, for each co-processing unit you add, the CPU can send more items to each interface, if that makes sense. So, this block in here is an interface, and then each one of these on top here is an interface as well. So, for each additional one, it will be able to send more materials to start crafting, and this kind of allows you to do kind of more complex crafting quicker. It will do things simultaneously and like in parallel. As I previously said, it will basically do it will craft one step and then craft the next. This was purely because I only had one co-processing unit in that CPU at the time. Whereas with this one now, it will be able to start the first, recipe. Then when it can, it will get started on the next recipe, if that makes sense. So it does it kind of quicker and more efficiently. And that's basically determined by your co-processing units. I just thought, actually, a way to explain it way better is for each co-processing unit you add, your CPU can then perform an extra process at the same time. And I think that's a way easier to explain it. Do you understand? I hope so. Cool. Then brings me over to here. As you can see, previously we had two of these. We had 2 molecular assemblers and 1 interface connected to them. We now have 12 molecular assemblers shared across 2 ME interfaces. This is just a really nice addition. This basically, I was running out of patterns I was able to autocraft. Basically, each interface can only have 9, and I think I got something like 12 or 13. So I had to make another interface anyway, and I decided to go with this layout. So each interface has access to 6 molecular assemblers. And what that basically means is each pattern within these interfaces can be crafted by up to 6 molecular assemblers, which is very nice. I might need to do some balancing with my patterns to make sure all of these molecular assemblers get used kind of equally, because I think the recipes that are in this interface are used way more than the recipes that are in this one. So I think it makes sense to kind of share those out, if that makes sense. Then that brings me over here to our crafting machines. So as just like before, we have our smelter, our enriching factory, our pulverizer, and now we have an alloy smelter, right? And basically this is a lot of recipes already. As you see, this is where we make electrum, our enderium, our fused quartz, and then we've got electrical steel, solarium, dark steel, and lumium. Sorry. Yeah, this alloy furnace is getting used for a lot, so I think I need to upgrade it already. This is exactly the same as the one above, but I think I might whack a better capacitor in here and maybe upgrade this to the more complex alloy smelter. But yeah, we have a bunch of recipes going on over here, and a very nice line of machines. In fact, this is where most of what we request gets done, other than our little what are these called, processors over here. And then I guess with that, it also brings me on to the change over here. It's not really a change. Basically, I've upgraded these. So now this end inscriber, which is responsible for making the final processor, has 3 acceleration cards. So now this is very quick. The silicon one has 2, because this is used for, well, this one is used for every recipe as well, because this makes the silicon, which goes in every processor. And then this one, well, this is the final step, right? So this gets used by every processor we request. And then these 3 here are only used for their respective circuit. So, for example, logic, calculation, and engineering. So these haven't been upgraded fully yet. These acceleration cards are kind of expensive, and to put the 7 more in here would be quite a lot. And I don't really use this enough yet to kind of justify that. And then finally, we have these water mills over here. I was basically going through the quest book. I think, yeah, earlier today, actually, I was just kind of seeing what was about. And then I just found this extra chain of quests. I believe it was in Player Shop. Not that one. There's another quest tab. I can't remember where I saw it. Here it is, right? So I saw these quests here, which is basically an introduction, and I really should have read these way sooner. Yeah, this server has really caught me out with how little I've been going through this quest book. I think I've only just about done 10% of the quests, and I'm hitting, you know, over 100 hours. And I do not want to be taking 1,000 hours to complete these quests. But basically, I did these, and I got some water mills out of it. Ignore this block of cobblestone. Basically, I couldn't really think how to do this without having... Oh, I've just realised you just put a wall here. Yeah. Anyway, okay, that cobblestone is just a placeholder. It's fine. So that cobblestone is a placeholder for a 4th water mill. And basically, this is just one of the ways you can set up water mills to get 16 GP per each individual one. I don't have anything using this power yet. But basically, I had them, so I thought I may as well set them up. And I will be closing off this wall and cleaning up this floor after this video. And sadly, that will draw this video to a close. It's not the progress I wanted from Minecraft Monday, but it's good progress, to be fair. We are now actually also crafting stuff. Like, it's worth doing. I've been making so many recipes lately where I've just been auto crafting a bunch of stuff. Having more than one CPU as well is honestly key. It's so nice. So do not be surprised if I end up with 2, maybe 3 CPUs which are all the same. Probably like the one on the left, so 3 co-processing units and maybe 2 60k storages. I'm not too sure. But yeah, anyway guys, with that, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, which will likely be Friday. Bye guys.
Are we gonna play now? Ready for the show? I'm about to take down, you already know. Get the fuck out of my face now, yeah, you gotta go. Man, I'm on the chase now, leave me on my